The shadow of desire is a dangerous thing, for it lingers not because of who you are in flesh alone, but because of the light you carry, the unshakable fire that cannot be dimmed. People may gather around you, arguing, bickering, clawing for position, not because you are a possession to be owned, but because the hand of God set a brilliance in you that refuses to be ignored. You were born with a crown already pressed upon your head, a crown that does not glitter for material eyes, but shines with spiritual radiance. And wherever such light exists, darkness grows restless. Desire turns into obsession, and obsession into conflict, for they see in you something they cannot create for themselves, a reflection of what they hunger for but cannot taste. And so they fight, not over your soul, not over your love, but over the access to the glow they crave like starving men searching for bread. But what they do not understand is that your light was never crafted by their approval, and it will never be destroyed by their rejection. They may battle in the shallow pools of envy, but you stand upon the mountain where God Himself has planted you. They see your confidence and confuse it with arrogance. They see your resilience and mistake it for pride. They see your grace and think it is a weapon they can wield. They fight because they want to possess what was never theirs to claim, and yet in all their fighting, they reveal their emptiness. For only those who live without fullness inside will scratch and crawl for scraps of another's essence. Only those who are thirsty for validation will wage war for a drop of attention. You, however, remain untouched. The shadow of their desire cannot cage you. It cannot bend your truth. It cannot reduce what God has elevated. You walk with dignity, even as voices rise and tempers flare, for you know the truth that many forget. You are not the prize to be won. You are the light that points to the prize giver. And when God has marked a soul with His glory, no struggle, no envy, no obsession can rewrite that story. They may be consumed with the thought of you. They may whisper, plot, compete, but their struggle is not your burden to carry. You are called to rise above it, to remember that the shadow is only proof that the light exists. So let them fight in the shadows while you keep walking in the sun. Let them obsess over what they cannot hold while you continue to blossom in freedom. For the shadow of desire belongs to them, not you. You are not defined by their hunger, nor are you bound by their chaos. You are the reflection of divine favor, and those who fight in the dark only confirm the brilliance of your shine. The mirror of obsession is a cruel thing, for it does not reflect truth but distortion, not love but hunger, not honor but desperation. Those who stare into it see not who you are, but what they crave you to be. They gaze upon you and their eyes do not meet your soul. They only meet their own emptiness staring back at them. In the mirror of obsession, your kindness becomes a tool, your silence becomes a weapon, your presence becomes a possession to be seized. It is not love that makes them restless. It is not devotion that makes them chase. It is the gnawing of a hollow spirit that cannot rest without something to consume. They see you and believe you are their cure. They see your light and believe it is theirs to steal. They see your strength and believe it is theirs to wield. But the mirror does not lie about them, only about you. And so their obsession is not with who you truly are, but with the image they have crafted in the shadows of their own need. The mirror of obsession is a dangerous battlefield, because it tricks them into believing that control is the same as closeness. They think the louder they fight, the harder they cling, the deeper they bind, the more they will own what they fear to lose. But obsession is not ownership, it is slavery, and the chains are forged from within. They believe they fight for you, but in truth they are fighting for themselves, fighting against their own fears, fighting against the emptiness that screams when you walk away. Their voices may rise, their words may cut, their schemes may twist, but all of it is the noise of spirits who have mistaken your soul for their salvation. And yet you, standing apart, must remember that the mirror does not show reality. What you see in their eyes is not your true reflection, but their own desperation painted over your face. The mirror of obsession teaches a powerful lesson. You cannot be reduced to someone else's longing. You cannot be defined by someone else's hunger. Their obsession is their prison, not your home. They may fight with each other, clawing, comparing reaching, but you must stand outside of that madness and know the truth of your identity. You are not the object they argue over. You are the child of the Most High, and nothing about you can be contained within the distorted image they worship. Let them break themselves against the glass of their delusion, for mirrors that do not reflect truth always shatter in time. And when the shards fall, they will cut the hands that clung too tightly, but you will still be whole, untouched by their desperation. For obsession has no power where freedom lives, and the light of your freedom will forever outshine the mirror of their need. The calling of divine favor is not something you earn by charm or secure by striving. It is something placed upon you long before you took your first breath. It is a mark written in invisible ink upon your spirit, a fragrance that fills the air around you even when you do not speak, a presence that shifts the atmosphere when you enter the room. People feel it without knowing what it is. They sense it before they can name it. They are drawn and unsettled all at once, for the calling of divine favor is both a comfort and a disruption. Comfort to those who walk in truth, disruption to those who live in shadows. And when divine favor rests upon you, it cannot be ignored, it cannot be diminished, and it cannot be stolen. The calling of divine favor makes you luminous in ways the world cannot imitate. It is not in the curve of your smile, nor the strength of your hands, but in the depth of your soul that shines through your words, your choices, your silence, your presence. People may fight for you, not realizing they are not fighting for you at all, but for the favor that crowns you. They are pulled into conflict because they do not understand that what they covet is not of the earth, not of flesh, not of mere human glory, but of God. Divine favor is the magnet that makes the envious restless and the empty desperate, for it reminds them of what they do not carry. And yet, though they may strive, though they may scheme, though they may raise their voices against one another, divine favor does not shift from its resting place. It belongs to you, because God Himself has appointed it. The calling of divine favor does not protect you from being misunderstood, for many will try to name your blessing as arrogance, your strength as hardness, your light as pride. They will wrestle in their own confusion, pointing at you as if you are the cause, when in truth it is the favor that makes them tremble. It is the sight of your resilience, the sound of your courage, the glow of your dignity that reminds them of what cannot be bought, what cannot be taken, what cannot be traded. And so they fight among themselves, but they are not fighting you. They are wrestling with the reality that divine favor cannot be controlled. The calling of divine favor is your assurance. It means you do not have to prove yourself. You do not have to beg for recognition. You do not have to lower yourself into chaos to be seen. You are already seen. You are already chosen. You are already appointed. Favor speaks on your behalf in rooms where your voice has not entered. Favor opens doors that hands have tried to shut. Favor places you on mountains others tried to climb without wings. And so while others fight in the dust, you stand in the wind of heaven, upheld by the God who chose you, and there is nothing they can do to strip from you what was never theirs to give. The lesson in their struggle is not for them, it is for you. For when people claw and wrestle over your presence, when they fight with one another for access to your light, they are teaching you something greater than their noise. They are teaching you how valuable you are, though their actions are dressed in chaos. They are showing you that your spirit carries a weight they cannot hold, that your essence is not something that slips through unnoticed. Their struggle is the mirror that reflects your worth back to you. And though it may look like confusion, though it may sound like anger, though it may feel like madness, it is a revelation. It is proof that you are not ordinary, that you were never called to blend into the crowd, that you carry something holy that cannot be handled lightly. The lesson in their struggle is that desire without honor becomes destruction. What they reach for is not love, for love does not fight in bitterness. What they crave is not connection, for connection does not demand possession. They fight because they see something they want but cannot nurture. And in their struggle you must see the truth. You are not meant to be handled by just anyone. Your worth demands reverence, your spirit requires protection, your heart deserves care. Their conflict is the evidence of their unpreparedness. It is not you who is too much, it is they who are too little to hold what God has placed in you. The lesson in their struggle is to rise above the noise and claim your freedom. You cannot lower yourself into the dust of their battles. You cannot let your feet be bound in the rope of their jealousy. You cannot let your soul be diminished by their misunderstanding. Their struggle belongs to them, not to you. It is their test, but it becomes your teaching. It is their battle, but it becomes your blessing. For in every fight you are reminded that your peace is sacred. In every argument you are reminded that your silence is power. In every scheme you are reminded that your destiny cannot be delayed by the confusion of others. The lesson in their struggle is that your value does not depend on who chooses you or who rejects you. It does not depend on who praises you or who curses you. It does not depend on who fights for you or who lets you go. Your value was established long before they entered the stage, and their conflict is nothing more than noise echoing around the truth that you are already chosen, already favored, already sealed by God's hand. So when they fight, let them fight. When they argue, let them argue. When they struggle, let them struggle. For every clash of their voices is a reminder that you walk on a higher path, called not to chaos but to clarity, not to bondage but to freedom, not to their struggle but to your destiny. The freedom of rising above is not given lightly, nor is it earned through struggle alone. It is claimed when you decide that the noise of others will not dictate the rhythm of your soul. To rise above is to step out of the whirlwind of conflict, to lift yourself from the petty battles of those who cannot see your worth, to walk with a dignity that no argument, no envy, no obsession can touch. When the narcissist fights and the new supply clause for your attention, it is easy to be drawn into their storm, to meet their fury with your own, to let their chaos seep into the corners of your mind. But freedom whispers a different song. Freedom reminds you that you were never placed on this earth to be a prize contested, to be an object of debate, to be the ground over which others wage war. Your life was given to you as a gift, and rising above is the sacred act of honoring that gift. Rising above does not mean ignoring reality. It does not mean pretending the fight does not exist. It means recognizing the futility of entanglement, understanding that their struggle is theirs alone, and choosing to walk in peace instead. It is the act of seeing the shadows around you without letting them darken your own light. It is knowing that their obsession is a reflection of their emptiness, not a measure of your worth. When you rise above, you claim your mind, your heart, your spirit, your destiny. You refuse to be dragged into the whirlwind of voices that seek to define you, to contain you, to diminish you. Their battle becomes background noise, and in that silence, you find the clarity to move forward. Rising above is an act of courage, for it requires patience, restraint, and faith. It requires you to trust that God sees your path, and that nothing in the chaos around you can alter the purpose He has set. You must stand tall when others try to pull you down, speak gently when others shout, and walk steadily when others stumble in the storm of their own desire. To rise above is to honor yourself and the divine plan that placed you where you are. It is to know that your freedom is not negotiable, that your peace is not for sale, that your spirit cannot be owned by anyone who fights to control it. The freedom of rising above transforms every attack into a lesson, every conflict into an opportunity, every attempt to possess you into a revelation of your own strength. You rise above not to punish, not to prove, not to retaliate, but to live in the fullness of your calling. You rise above so that your life becomes a testament to what it means to be untouchable by the chaos of others, to walk in purpose while the world around you wrestles with shadows. And in that rising, you discover a truth that no fight can erase, that freedom is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of grace, the clarity of vision, and the courage to refuse entanglement with those who would diminish your light. The victory of being untouched is a triumph that the world rarely understands, for it is quiet, unseen by those who measure success by noise, by conflict, by conquest. It is not won with fists, nor claimed through words, nor earned through struggle with those who seek to control you. It is the victory of the soul that refuses to bend, the spirit that will not yield, the heart that remains sacred even when others fight to claim it as their own. To be untouched is not to ignore life's storms. It is to move through them with a steadfastness that comes from knowing your worth, a wisdom that comes from knowing your source, a courage that comes from understanding that no one can diminish what God has planted within you. Being untouched is the awareness that their obsession, their battles, their scheming cannot define you. Others may claw for your attention, whisper behind your back, compete for a place in your life, but their struggle is not your measure. Your measure is set by grace, by the divine hand that marked you before the world could name you. Their chaos may rage around you, but within you are a sanctuary, a place no one can invade. You do not rise to meet their fight, because rising for them would be to concede that they have power over you. And in truth, their power exists only in the minds of those who seek to wield it. The victory of being untouched is found in restraint, in silence, in the choice to stand apart. It is the strength to watch others crumble in the pursuit of what they cannot hold, and to walk in clarity while they lose themselves in confusion. It is the grace to see that their obsession is a reflection of what they lack, not a reflection of your deficiency. Every word they speak in anger, every act of competition, every scheme to possess you only underscores the truth that you are untouchable in spirit, sovereign in self, crowned by favor that cannot be bargained for. To be untouched is to move through life with dignity, to protect your peace as sacred ground, to refuse engagement in battles that would soil your soul. It is the freedom to love without fear, to give without expectation, to live without apology for the brilliance that radiates naturally from you. Those who fight for you may not understand, may not see, may not even believe that true victory lies not in possession but in presence, not in conquest but in constancy, not in grasping but in grace. The victory of being untouched transforms every attempt at control into confirmation of your power. It turns their obsession into evidence of your value. It makes every struggle they create a lesson in your endurance, every argument a reminder of your strength, every attempt to claim you an opportunity to remain sovereign. In choosing not to be drawn into the fray, you rise above the petty, the desperate, the hungry, and you stand in the fullness of who you are. And in that standing, untarnished and unshaken, you claim a victory that no one can take away, a victory that is eternal, a victory that proves that the greatest power is not in fighting over you, but in being untouchable by what they fight for.